All right, take it away, Tanya.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy that you could make it to our first session of the week for our virtual experience. I know it's a little bit early for some of you that are in Central Time, but we are so happy that you could make it today. I'm Tanya Warren. If you are a new teacher in one of the school districts, I am the Information Technology and Media Arts Consultant at KDE, so welcome. We're going to be using Teams Live today, so there may be a little bit, I think 2 to 5 seconds of a delay, so if you notice that, we'll try to make that up in our when we're going through our slides. I have a couple of producers that will be helping out with our session today. I have Teresa Rogers. Some of you may have I've spoken with her on the phone or had some meetings with her at KDE. She's another consultant in our department, and she will be a producer. She's going to be handling our questions today. So when you go through, if you have a question, she's going to be monitoring those. Also, I have Reagan Satterwhite. She is the manager in my department. She's the Career Programs and Pathways Manager. And we have Dr. Sean Jackson will be helping us from OET today. So Sean, if you want to go ahead and start us out, we'll go to the next slide. So welcome to our virtual experience. This week we'll have over 20 live sessions, and we'll have over 20 on-demand sessions. So the on-demand is going to give you an option that you can do those anytime. So if you don't have time during the day, you could even go in and watch those in the evening. I'm really happy about this. We're going to have an online industry certification lab Monday through Thursday. So don't miss your chance to be able to get a free certification. Normally the in-person schedule that we have when we're at the Galt House, we have a lab set up. So this will give you an option to be able to still do that industry certification. There is a requirement. You do need to sign up at least 24 hours prior to testing. So and there's going to be like a cutoff time of 8:30 in the evening. So the reason this is going to be proctored online, and Certiport is going to be doing the proctoring, so they need time to be able to get that code to you and all the information to be able to get into the exam. So if you want to do an online industry certification on Tuesday, you would need to be able to sign up this evening by 8:30. What's going to happen if you look at the schedule and there are open spots, they're going to leave those open after 8:30. So even if you log in at 10 o'clock tonight and there's spots available, that you're going to have to register for Wednesday because they just need to have time to be able to get that set up. The schedule of the sessions and the sign up link for the industry certification labs, I have that posted in our Google Classroom. And I also added a link in our Teams invitation. So I think I'm ready to go to the next slide. Oh, I did want to mention the schedule will remain in our Google Classroom. So after we do the virtual experience, these will all be available for you. It's just going to be a resource of recorded sessions. So if you can't make it, if you're going to be on vacation like Wednesday and Thursday, when you come back to Google Classroom, the matrix that we have of all the sessions, you'll still be able to get into those on-demand sessions. And the presenters this week will be recording sessions. So we're just going to leave those out there for you to be able to go back and view throughout the year. So that'll be a nice resource for everyone. Our session today is from 8 to 8:50. During the session, there's a Q&A option, so you can post questions. So this is a little bit different. Teresa will be monitoring those questions. We'll do those at the end of the presentation, so we'll just go through those questions towards the end. The PowerPoint from the session will be emailed as a resource. So I normally did that when we did the in-person conference. I would email the presentation that we did at the Galt House. I'll also send a document of questions and answers. So all of the questions that you post in the queue We'll try to answer as many of those as we can, but you will still get a document, the ones that we answered, or if we run out of time and have to answer those and send those later. So you will get those as a resource. Professional development hours, you will be able to earn up to 15 hours of PD credit. There's quite a few options of on-demand that you can view. Any of those would equal to be your 15 hours. Don't feel like you need to attend every session. I mean, I don't think most of you want to sit from 8 o'clock in the morning until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So just pick what interests you. The sessions that are multiple hours, you're going to count those as multiple credits. So the coordinators meeting today lasts from 1 to 4. So you wouldn't get 1 credit for those. Some of them are going to be 2-hour sessions, 3-hour sessions. Most of our sessions, the information technology, are 50 minutes. And that way I thought you could hit multiple things instead of taking like all afternoon to do 1 session. So, okay. Email addresses, I'll be emailing a survey out after the conference, so I do need your updated school email address. If you have moved to a different school, or if you are a new hire, I will need your email address so that you can get that professional development certificate. So you'll take like a little survey, and then you will receive a PD certificate after I receive the completed survey. I wanted to take a few minutes to welcome a new addition to KDE. Dr. Sean Jackson is one of our producers today. He is going to be our CS IT Academy Program Manager and the K through 12 Computer Science Lead. He's helping with 3 of our sessions this week, starting Tuesday and Wednesday. So you will have a chance to hear from him again. But Sean, do you want to take a few minutes and just introduce your new role at KDE?
Yeah, I'm just going to be really quick, but I'm really glad that KDE went this route and was able to give a dedicated K-12 computer science lead in the state. It's something that's, if you're familiar with computer science policy and programming in the United States, I know you've heard of code.org. And they have 9 policy points that indicate a healthy and fully implemented computer science program for states. And one of those policy points is to have a dedicated computer science lead. Now, we've had good individuals at KDE that have been involved in the computer science foundational work, and getting a lot of the groundwork done for making sure that we have a pathway for computer science and information technology education for our students. But there was not just one person to go to and say, hey, you're responsible for making sure these things are implemented. And so we've got a lot of stuff going on in our state, a lot of developments, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm very fortunate to be here. Tanya's very gracious to let me take a couple of minutes and speak to you. But, I think we are all of the same mind that we have just a very few priorities. And one of those is to expand the offering of computer science across our state, to close the gap between the availability in low income or rural areas in schools, and also increase the diversity of students taking computer science. I think those 3 areas really are comprehensive as far as what we want to see in our programs. But another thing is we need to take out barriers that are blocking schools from being able to implement computer science programs. And we need to increase, I really think that we all need to put our money where our mouth is. If we're going to say that computer science is an important and high demand area, then we need to start investing in that. And that's actually been, since I started full-time in June, that's been one of the key areas we've been focused on, is how do we increase the amount of funding and professional learning opportunities that we provide. So, but yes, join me and Ann Schreck, and we really tried to focus on, hey, what's career certification going to look like this year? And if you're familiar with our CSIT Academy, then we've got a couple of different updates for that program that are very, very important this year of non-traditional instruction. And so we look forward to having you there and seeing you in the session so we can talk about that. And one of those things, I'll just kind of preview a little bit, is something Tanya's going to talk about a little bit later, and that is the exams from home opportunity that has recently been provided. So stay tuned for that today, but also join us so we can see exactly how that's going to work. And just like Tanya said, you need to sign up for one of those certifications, because we are mirroring, and Tanya's done a great job of setting this up, is we're mirroring the at-home testing session that a student would go through. So if you're planning on giving any career certifications, especially in the fall, because it looks like a lot of districts are going to have those virtual options, you take advantage of this opportunity that is presenting itself so that you can go through the process that your students would actually go through. Okay. And Tanya, I am now going to go ahead and send it back to you.
Okay, so we're gonna move on and just start covering some of the updates for 2021. And we're right into the industry certification. So that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So I think this is something that I've received many emails over the summer asking for some flexibility. And we just received this information, I think about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, that they have decided, KDE leadership had sent something that this year for 2021, they are going to make it possible to have the vendor virtual proctoring allowable for, there's two different options. If in-person courses are not occurring, so if your school is going to do a virtual academy, or if they are starting out the school year, maybe the first semester or the first 9 weeks, then this would be an option. There's also going to be an option for virtual proctoring for students that their parents have signed that they don't want them to attend in-person courses. So if your school is providing in-person, but you're giving parents an option to have their students just do virtual learning, then they can do the virtual proctoring exam. So I think that is going to be needed this year, because we really just don't know what's going to happen moving forward. Funding for that process, the Perkins and state free reduced funds for the certification for CTE can be used for virtual proctored industry certification. So that's really good news that the funds are still available. TED's data entry is going to be the same for both processes. So if you have students if your school district is doing in-person classes and you're going to offer the in-person exams, then you're going to enter the TEDS data just as normal. And then if you have students that are doing the online, that's going to be entered the same way. There won't be two different processes in TEDS. It'll all go in just as we normally would. As Sean mentioned, I've got sort of highlighted in yellow. It will be a good idea for you, I think, since this is going to be an option for your students, to take it maybe at least one of these online exams so that you can see the process before your students go in and do the process. So we had contacted Certiport and had this sort of in place before we even knew that it was going to be allowed for the students. So I think this really worked out well, that this would give you the opportunity to go through it yourselves. Last year, there was funding for free reduced lunch students to be able to do industry certifications. There's $600,000 in that funding again this year. So if you use some of that last year, you sort of know which exams that you want to cover that for, and how that worked out for you. And when Sean is discussing the CSIT Academy, I know there were some exams last year that were not on the list, like they were on the valid industry list, but they weren't covered by the CSIT Academy. So these funds are perfect for those exams that would be outside of the CSIT Academy funding, but would be on the valid industry certification list. So just keep this money in mind. I think the last 2 years, last year the funding all of it wasn't used. So so that, keep that in mind for your free and reduced lunch students. The graduates from 2019 and 20. If they have vouchers, you can have those students come in. There's a reopening guidance document for them to be able to take those exams. So if you have seniors that are interested in still getting those industry certifications, then that is going to be allowed and vouchers can be used for that. So I'm ready for the next slide. One of the exams that you guys are pretty much all familiar with, there's been a little bit of a change, so I just wanted to do a slide just for that one industry certification. The IC3 is on our valid industry certification list for 2021. We've always done the GS5. They're updating to a GS6. So if you haven't seen this, it's going to be sort of a little bit of a different format. There's always been 3 different exams with the GS5. The GS6 will also have 3 exams. There'll be 3 different levels. Level 1 and level 2 are more of a middle school level, and then the level 3 would be the high school, or I think even KCTCS may look at the level 3 for post-secondary. So the big difference in this, each of those levels receive a certification, whereas GS5, the student had to take 3 different exams before they could get 1 certification. So this is, a big change. We'll be moving forward with a GS5 in 2021. Currently, the level 3 exam hasn't been released. So moving forward, we would want to review the GS6 and look at that level 3 once that exam is available. I had a meeting with KCTCS, and they are accepting the GS5. And once the level 3 is released, that's what they're going to do too. They're going to review it, and they may move forward with level 3 next year. They've got to, make that decision. But just wanted to make you aware, you may see this GS6 out there. But like I said, the level 3 exam hasn't been released, so it's not even possible for you students to take it at this point. So, and Sean,
right.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I just wanted to intervene. You really covered all the high points, but just understand that, I think there was some confusion early on. They said, oh, there's this GS6 out there. Are we going to count that? Well, if you look at our valid industry certification list, it does not specify what generation the exam is. It just says IC3. So whatever iteration is currently out, if we decide to change it to start accepting the GS6 level 3 as being the high school valid industry certification, that's what goes along with it. So we will stay tuned to all of this with Certiport and of course KCTCS, because they're a huge part of that, because they offer that college credit from this certification. But there are still a lot of unknowns about exactly what's on the GS6. I've been able to view the level 1, and it's exactly what they said. It is a middle school digital literacy exam for certification. So as soon as we know more, but I think this is a great transition, because rather than taking 3 different exams to get 1 certification, you're now only possibly going to have to do that 1 exam, the level 3. So I think that's a no-brainer as far as what we need to do. I think I just zoomed too far through this. But I think that's a no-brainer as far as what we need to do for our students and for our certification tracks in the Commonwealth.
Yes, I totally agree. I think this is going to narrow down where your students are going to take one exam instead of having to take three. And last year there were some teachers that had questions about that because that's a stacked exam. So the IC3 has to, pair up with another industry certification. So I think moving forward, this is going to be a benefit that they're moving this direction to do 3 different certifications for each of those exams. So like Sean mentioned, as soon as the level 3 is available, we will be reviewing that. And like you said, on the valid list, it just says IC3. And I think basically they've always went with the updated, like the GS5 was the newest version up to this
That's
point.
correct.
So
yes.
that will be something we'll be moving towards. So some of you, I think, will be happy about that change. I've got a slide on here about the CSIT Academy, and Sean will be having some additional sessions going over some of this information, but they will be providing support with industry certification exams from, they've got an approved industry certification exam list. I haven't seen the complete list this year. I know last year there was a few of the exams that they didn't provide, and I think some of that just went by data of like some of the exams there really weren't very many students that had taken those exams. So, the exams that are covered, they're only provided for students in the CSIT Academy or the CSIT pathways. Some of you are business teachers and you may teach pathways that are CSIT Academy, CSIT pathways, and then you may also teach business pathways. You may have like a split schedule. So if you have students that are in a business pathway, they don't qualify for this. So just keep that in mind. You want to divide out that if you have some students that are taking the same exam, if they are not in a computer science information technology pathway, then they're not going to be able to qualify for the CSIT Academy. The students have to be concentrators. If you are a new teacher, you're not familiar with what a concentrator is, those students have to have completed 2 courses in a single program of study. So if you have a freshman that's coming in and they haven't even taken any computer science courses and you want them to take an industry certification exam, they wouldn't qualify for this. They have to have 2 courses completed in a pathway to be able to get one of these vouchers for the exams. And I have Sean's email address listed at the bottom, so he will be your contact for the CSIT Academy. And so if you have questions or need vouchers or exams, or he's going to be your contact moving forward.
Yep, you covered it all good.
I wanted to hit just some information about Perkins, and there is another session later today that is a coordinators meeting. You'll see that on the schedule. It's from 1 to 4, and one of the topics they're going to review is going to be Perkins. So Perkins funding. So I have a little bit of information about Perkins 5, but I'm sure they will go into more detail about this information. So if you want additional information, try to attend that coordinators meeting this afternoon, or at least some of it. You can pop in. If you can't do the full 1 to 4, you could come just listen to some of the information. But this slide came from our Perkins person, so all this information came from Carla Tipton. So the Perkins pathways and the CTSO requirement. This is something that came in with Perkins 5. We started reviewing this last year. It's actually rolling out more this year. So one secondary to post-secondary pathway alignment will be required for each program area for which districts will use Perkins funds. Last year, the schools only had to do one alignment for all of the programs. So it wasn't like if they had 5 different programs, they just had to pick one of them and they had to do an alignment. This one, you're going to have to do one for each program. So that's going to be a change. KDE they're going to be providing something in TEDS for this purpose. This tool is being developed, so it hasn't been released at this point. And they may have more information about that during the coordinators meeting. Districts need to be working on post-secondary to ensure it's in place by 21-22. These will be due by May of 2021. So you don't have to have these August or September, but you do need to be working on these because they're due by May of 21. Another requirement for Perkins 5 was to add the CTSO, so the student organization. You're going to have a student organization linked to your program area if you're going to use Perkins funds. So if you have Perkins funding and you're using it, you want to try to align with one of the CTSOs. And there's going to be a tool in TEDS that's going to collect that information. I don't think that's in place yet, but they'll be releasing that information too. Okay. I listed some sessions I thought that you might want to attend since Perkins is requiring the CTSO. There are several sessions available on Tuesday and Wednesday that you could pop in and just get some information about the different student organizations, how it works, what kind of events that they offer. Since information technology, there's several events in the different CTSOs that link to us. So Skills USA, some of you guys are already a part of that. Kentucky TSA, there is also some things in FBLA that would be computer science related. So you sort of just see what you think would work best for your particular pathway of students. The email addresses are listed for each of these advisor training programs and the time. So if you're interested in any of these, they're welcome. They welcome that you will come. I mentioned with each of them, and yeah, they're excited to have you join any of their sessions. There's been some changes to there's going to be some changes to the minimum high school graduation requirements. Last year, I sent all the list out to you guys. Senate Bill 158 is requiring some changes to the new graduation requirements. You're going to get additional information on this. It's going to be released. I don't have it at this point, but I just wanted to make you aware that that document that you have with the graduation requirements, that is going to change. So the Office of Teaching and Learning will be releasing the changes out to us. So that'll be rolling out, and I'm sure in the coordinators meeting, they'll discuss this more with more details. They may have additional information. Okay, I wanted to go ahead and review our program of studies for information technology for 2021. This year, we're really starting out in August. The pathways will remain the same. We've not made any changes to the pathways. There hasn't been any changes to the courses, which I thought some of you might welcome since, you know, this is going to be a different school year with our virtual, you know, academies and in-person courses, and so everything will stay the same in your pathways as they were last year. We will start a phase-out process for 2 of the pathways. That doesn't mean this year that you can't offer that pathway. You can. It's a 2-year phase-out process. So the 2 that are going to be moving, that'll be removed, will be computer programming blended hybrid and computer science pathways. These will be removed in 22-23. The reason for this, we had 3 pathways in the information technology program that had the same end of program assessment. So students were taking the same exam at the end of all 3 of these. There was some duplication of courses in 3 of those pathways. So we're basically blending those together, and we'll have one pathway that'll be computer programming pathway, and those courses that are not duplicates will just merge over into that. So you won't lose any of your courses. It'll just merge into computer programming, and then that one EOP exam will be with that one pathway. So I hope that makes sense. I've had some teachers that have even asked, you know, why do we have 3 of these that have the same exam at the end. So that's why we're moving forward with that. The spring of 21, we still don't really know what's happening with accountability at this point, but we do plan on having a EOP exam in the spring of 21, and that will be linked to your current CTE standards, the same ones that you had last year. Those questions have not been aligned to any type of standards for the Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science. So we will move forward, and all those questions will be linked to your current CTE standards. Teachers will need to use their current standards and the Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science for 2021. Those were released. Sean, when were those released? In 2018, the Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science?
I believe they were. Everything kind of rolls together now.
Yeah.
But those were developed over almost, it took almost a year and a half between the writing and the oversight and then the Kentucky Board of Education approval process. And if you remember some of that time period, we got rid of an entire Board of Education, brought on a brand new Board of Education, and I mean, had a lot of changeover, but we were still fortunate enough to get the moved through. So we've had those under our belt for a little over a full school year now. And so we also have all of those standards now integrated into Infinite Campus. So if you have a scheduled course, it will align and bring over those standards that are aligned to that specific course code. And that was just recently completed, putting all the machine readable standards in that format to upload to Infinite Campus.
Okay, so and Sean was a part of that team that that developed those computer science standards. So it's great that we have him as a resource. I think some of you all may have been a part of that too. We had teachers and industry and a large group that worked on that. So the computer science standards have been posted to the KDE website for K through 12. Those have been available. So those should have been being taught since 2018 across K through 12. So that should have been a part of our courses. But the difference, we didn't have our EOP exam questions linked to those standards. So those should have been available to be part of your courses, but we just didn't align it to our exams. So last November, we had a task force, a group of teachers that came in, and we looked at our pathways, and we aligned those computer science standards to our pathways. So I'll be sharing that alignment out from Google Classroom for you guys to use. So it's just a division of like what groups of standards they felt like should hit with the different pathways. And then Sean mentioned those have been uploaded into Infinite Campus, so that's a great resource too. So just let you know how that's going to move forward. The program of studies for computer science for 21-22, there are some changes coming forward, and the program of studies for 21-22 was just, there's a link available for that on KDE. I added the link on the slide so that you can see that. I know normally in the fall, it's not long after fall semester starts that they start looking at courses for the following fall. So they'll start trying to get schedules together. So it's a good idea to sort of have an idea of what kind of changes are going to be taking place for 21-22. One big change is we're going to change the name of our program from information technology to computer science. So since we're aligning with the Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science, our program is going to be computer science starting 21-22. So it sort of gives you a year to sort of transition. If you have things labeled information technology or you have signs listed, at least you will know if you're creating something new that we will be computer science starting fall of 21. This will be the second year of the phase out, so students can still be in those 2 pathways that are going to be phased out in 21-22, but as of 22-23, those will be completely removed. So I have a few other changes on some additional slides. There's going to be some course changes for 21-22. We looked over a lot of the computer science or IT courses, and we've removed those vendor names. So I think this is a really positive. We don't really want to promote one vendor program over another. So all of those.
You're reading my mind, Tanya.
And I've had some teachers that have had questions about this because they want to maybe bring something else into a course. I think that we've really limited what we can do in a course if we are just, specific with one program. So the courses will still be there. We're not removing the course. So you can see the cybersecurity Project Lead the Way. It will just be cybersecurity. You are welcome to use Project Lead the Way or any other curriculum that would fit for that course, but you're not, some schools, that couldn't do Project Lead the Way, they might want to offer cybersecurity course and use a different curriculum, but they just couldn't do that because it was linked to one vendor. So the same with NYSERC, all of those NYSERC courses, if you're a person that wanted to blend, maybe use NYSERC, use another program with it, this will give you the opportunity to be able to do that. So I think this is positive. It's not taking anything away. You can still use the exact same vendors that you've used before if you still want to use those. But if there's a new company that comes out and they're offering something that you think you would want to use, then that gives you the opportunity to also add those. So like the cyber science or the cyber literacy, you're not linked to one specific vendor. So I think that's a plus. We've also narrowed down, you can see this is the current pathway for computer programming. Then beside of it, I've got the updated version. We've changed one of the codes that's used quite a bit is the Python. A lot of schools offer Python. The course code will remain the same. But we've just changed the title to Object-Oriented Programming 1, and this gives you the option you can use other program languages. You don't have to just use Python, so you could blend this and do maybe 2 languages in that course, or if you want to stay with Python or one of these other languages that's being sort of merged over to that same course code, that's fine. You don't even have to keep that title of that course. You can change it and keep it as Python. You can change any of these course titles as long as you're teaching what is in that course description. So if Python is what you go with, that's what you want to keep the course to be named, that's the only thing you're going to offer in that course, then yeah, keep it as Python. But some of the universities, like the school that we have, are articulated credit. Some of our language courses are just they're given credit for the object-oriented programming course at the University of the Cumberland. So it's just sort of a way to sort of line up with the way they offer it. And I think it gives you a little more flexibility, because if there's something new that comes up, a different language that you want to offer that we don't have that specific language, you could maybe offer the 110220 and make it specific to meet the needs of your students. So, and also some of these languages, there's very few schools that are offering that course. So we wanted to keep it available so you can still offer, some of these courses maybe that everybody isn't offering, but we just don't have so many different course descriptions or course codes, maybe for just a couple of schools that might be offering that one course. There's some changes to the cyber engineering. Most of it is just removing the vendor name off of the course. So you can see their current pathway and then the new pathway, same courses, same course codes, it's just the NYSERC has been removed. The co-op courses and the internship will be called Computer Science Co-op and Computer Science Internship instead of Information Technology. And there's 2 courses that have been added to this pathway. These are not brand new courses. These are courses that were in our program of study, but they weren't in a pathway. So I don't know if you realize there are some courses that are outside of pathway. So these were existing courses, but if a student took the course, it couldn't be counted in the pathway. These would be like additional courses they could take. So this gives you the option if you want to go outside of those original courses and you want your students to take security fundamentals. If they take that course, then that can be counted in their 4 courses. So I think that's a plus. If you don't want to offer that course, then you don't have to, but if you want to, that's an option. The same thing for digital design and game development and information support and services. There's 1 course that's been added. These are not brand new courses. These were just courses that were outside of your pathway option. So that course is in the program of studies. It has been. You may have been offering this course, but it couldn't be counted as the 4 course options for your pathway. Well, now it can be. So I think that gives you a little more flexibility. The other pathways that are listed, there hasn't been a change with either of those. And these will be 21-22, not 20-21. So the dates, I know it gets a lot to take on. There's a lot of information on this slide. I'd mentioned before that the computer science standards, we didn't have our EOP aligned to those standards. We will be moving towards that. It is a process, so it takes a little bit of time. This year, in spring of 21, we will have our normal CTE standards, just like you had last year. You will have the EOP exam in the spring of 21, unless, you know, unforeseen circumstances happen, something like last year that in the spring. So then in the spring, this will be January through June. I don't know what the date will be at this point. It could be May, it could be after the exam. We will bring teachers in either person, or we're talking to Sherry Craig about trying to maybe do something online if we need to. And we will look at those exam questions for the EOP exam, and we will align those questions to the Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science. At that point, we will also develop some new questions. We'll look and see if there are some standards that we maybe don't have existing questions, and so some pilot questions will be developed. And fall of 21, so that will happen in the spring, and fall of 21, there will be a pilot exam for the computer science pathway. So when they come back into school in 21, we'll take that exam, and then there'll be an item analysis meeting, and those questions will be reviewed by a teacher. So we will look at the questions, we'll see how students did on those questions. This will not be counted in accountability. Your pilot exam doesn't count towards that accountability. You would have another exam in the spring. So we would look at those questions to see if we needed to add any additional questions, or if we needed to adjust any questions at that point. And then in fall of 21, you would only be using the computer science standards. The CTE standards that you're using this year would be completely removed from your courses because all of the questions will be aligned to those Kentucky Academic Standards for Computer Science. In the spring of 22, that'll be the first year that your exam will actually have questions that'll be linked to those computer science standards, and you won't have any questions that will be linked to the CTE standards that we're using this year. So I know that's a lot. It's a lot of dates. It's a so you have that slide. Just know that this year your EOP is the same as it was last year, and then maybe just gradually come back and look at these dates. I'll be contacting teachers in the spring once we get the dates for those to go in and look over those questions and start that alignment to the new standards. So just keep in mind, you may get some emails or some calls to try to get some volunteers to be able to do those different ones. We'll have to review each EOP for all of the pathways. So it'll be a group of teachers that teach those pathways as the ones that we'll be reviewing. Okay. Dual credit. I don't want to read all of this information. A lot of this is just discussing how KCTCS is going to be offering some online classes. This may be a good option for the schools that are doing the virtual academies. KCTCS is working to do 16-week, 12-week, 8-week sessions, and they've been, contacting school districts, and I think there's been a lot of meetings on this, on what they can do to sort of help during this time, because they realize, schools are really trying to adjust and see what they need to offer. I've had a couple of principals that have contacted me that they've been working with their local KCTCS to see what they can work in to have dual credit offerings in their virtual academy. So I think this will be definitely a welcome addition during our virtual academy options this year.
All right, Tanya, just to warn you, this is our 5-minute warning. So I know we've had a jam-packed session with all kinds of information, and we're going to try to work in some of these later topics into, I think you should be seeing a lot of these during your afternoon sessions. So please don't give up on this. We will still, and most of this later stuff is just trying to cover every single base that we can think of to think about. Am I right in that, Tanya? Yes,
I just listed a few resources, so I won't go over there's a link on here for your for the searchable state course code. I was going to try to get to some questions, but there's one item I would like to address before we leave, Sean, and that's the new ACS teacher permission code.
Yep.
On this, I really feel like it's important to have this out there. And if we need to, I can just do the questions, just do a document at the end for the questions. I'll send those back out. But I think this is something that the districts really need to know. We're offering an ACS teacher permission code that will be added to your certification. Some of you are business teachers, so I won't read this word for word. Some of you are business teachers, so you only have permission to teach about 20 or 25 computer science courses. The ACS is going to give you the option to be able to attend a training. It will be a year-long training through Advanced Kentucky, and Advanced Kentucky is doing a session during our virtual experience. But if you attend the training for the year, you will receive this ACS permission, and that's going to give you, it is a portable permission that's going to be attached to your certification. So if any district looks at your certification, they will see that you have permission to teach all computer science courses. You do need to attend the full year of the training. If you are in this, some people started the training in July. You will not gain the permission if you don't attend a complete year of training. So make sure that you do follow through and attend all of those workshops to be able to receive this. This is something that was created because we do have a shortage of computer science teachers, and the universities they don't offer a computer science teaching certification at this point.
There's only one that's even piloting a program this year that I know of. So I think Morehead State University is coming out with their version of this. Eastern or Cumberland's, one of the two, I can't remember which one was looking into it as well. But you're exactly right, Tanya. Scott Uselis has worked on this probably as long as I've known him. And I think that's all the way back to 2014. And we have a huge need in Kentucky to fill classrooms with, capable computer science teachers, yes, but also just passionate educators. And what's more passionate than an educator that says, I'm going to go to a professional learning program, give my time over to learn this for my students. Scott, Tanya, and other people at the state believed the exact same way. They said if they do this, they need to be given something so that they don't do all of this for nothing, and the bureaucracy that's out there gets in their way of teaching their students. So this is a great offering. Take advantage of it. There are some more details that go into this, and I think I got a couple of questions about, you know, hey, I finished a professional learning program a couple of years ago. I'm a middle school teacher. We are still going through and working with EPSB on exactly how and who this applies to. So don't worry. We will try to answer all of your questions. I didn't mean to talk over you, Tanya, about that, but this is just a very important thing.
Yeah, no problem. And there will be some information posted. This is very new. We just basically got this in place. We've been working on it. Like I said, Scott and Marty Park, they've been working on it with EPSB for years. I think it's taken a couple of years to get this in place. But if you look for it on the KDE website, I don't think there's anything even posted. We will have a fact sheet posted on the website. We'll be moving towards that, but we wanted to get this information in the presentation because if you search for it, currently we don't have anything up because this is very new. So some of you that are interested, next summer is when the training will start. Some people have started the training in July. There will be another one starting next summer. So be thinking about this year if you're a math teacher or a business teacher and there are courses that you are interested in providing, but it's not on your certification, then this may be of interest to you to be able to gain the ACS permission code. So I'm looking at the time. We are at 8:51. So we're going to close out the session. And if you have questions, please type those into the Q&A. And like I said, I'll get a document together with all those questions and answers and get that sent back out to you with the PowerPoint from this presentation. So, you know, I hope everybody can find some sessions this week that interest them. Please check out Sean's sessions that he has available Tuesday and Wednesday, and that may give you a chance to ask some more questions about the CSIT Academy. And thank you all for attending today, and thank you all for producing for the session today. And everybody have a good week.
Thanks, Tanya.
Okay, I think we're still live. Okay, there we go.